Hello and welcome to Shortcut Up CNC. Today we're going to talk about creating a clock face. Here we have a 12-inch diameter clock face, and you can see all the numbers aligned on certain vectors. Uh, the alignment vectors are created on a separate layer. That way you can turn the vectors off and there's your clock face. So let's get into creating one of these. First of all, we're going to go ahead and get rid of the layer along with its vectors. Of course, it can't do that when you got the default layer turned on. You got to have it turned off. And of course, the default layer's got our numbers and everything on it. So what I need to do is clean that off first. Okay, we clean that. Now we turn the default layer off, go to the other layer, turn it back on, and we can delete everything, layer and the data. Okay, now we have our default layer, but we want to create the alignment. The default layer will go ahead and we'll create the 12-inch diameter on that. Let's see, 12-inch diameter. We go to the center here and we just click, and there's our vector, 12-inch diameter vector, and it's on layer 1. And we're going to name this clock face. Now we create a new layer, and we're going to call that the alignment vectors. Okay, now we want 12 numbers going around the clock face, but they got to be so much of a distance from the inner edge, and they have to be spaced apart around the diameter. So in order to do that, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to move up create a vector inside the edge, the inner edge. And we do that by going to the offset tool. We select inwards, and I'm going to go 875 inward. Click offset. And of course, you want to make sure you're on the right layer too when you're doing this. We are on, and that is in bold, and it's highlighted up here at the top as the a layer that you're creating the vectors on. You can always move them once if you make a mistake. It's easy enough to move. But anyway, we got our distance from the edge. Now we need to create a vector for the alignment that goes spacing apart the numbers. So we create the line tool, polyline tool. We go to the center and we go upward at the 12 o'clock position. Click space bar to disconnect, and there we have the position for the 12 o'clock, but we need all the others. And an easy way to create that is to use the circle array or circle copy tool. Now the vector is created also with a center point or rotation feature, and that's usually in the center of the vector that's created. And here it's being shown 0 on the X and then 3.5 inches on the Y. So that's right there. And we don't want it there. We want it here. So what I want to do is I want to change this to 0.0. Now you'd see the little indicator. It shows that the center for rotation is now where it should be. and we want 12 copies of this. And we want to rotate them on a total angle of 360 degrees around the diameter here. So I click on copy, and there you see it created the vectors, 12 of them. And I always check this one to make sure it's not doubled. It doesn't look like it's doubled, so we're okay. So now we have an intersection where we can put all the numbers on. We go to the font tool. We select the type of font we want. I'm not going to change it. I'm going to go ahead and just use what I've got. And here's a little box for the font. So I'm going to move it a little closer to where it should be and type 12. And now I'm going to grab the center. Of course, it won't allow me to grab it because it's wanting to do a kerning of the numbers. That means separating the one from the two to some degree. So I'm going to close the font tool, select the 12, and move the center point to the intersection. There we have the 12 aligned to where it's supposed to be. Now we go get the font tool again, and this time I can leave the font tool on. All I have to do is click another area and then type in one. Now I go ahead and try it. Yeah, now it's going to allow me to move it where I want to move it. Click another area, put 2. And then click the 3 location, type 3. Click the 4 location, type 4. And you do this consistently all the way around until you get all the clock face numbers where you want them. And my hands are a little shaky. I'm getting to be an old man. So you'll see that here. 6. Okay, 7, 7. And we just keep doing this. 8 till we get all the clock face numbers. And I got to reposition this a little bit. Give me 9. Give me 10. Yep, it's wanting that daggone kerning again. So now I click the font tool again, click an area where I want, type 11. Yep, close it. We don't need it anymore anyway. Up, it moved the center marking. Okay, we can put that back. Okay, click out here, click on the number twice. Yeah, now we got it to move. Okay, gonna bring this up. Okay, now I go back to my layers and I can turn off the clock face diameter. And of course, see, I created my numbers on the alignment vector layer, So those numbers will need to be moved. So I've got to go in and hold the shift key down, click on each one of the numbers. That's why it's important to make sure you're on the vector that you're creating the items on. And I should have been on the clock face layer when I was creating those. Now all I do is right click and say move to layer clock face. Now we have our alignment vectors on one layer and the clock face on another layer. You notice the clock face is now visible, but It's not active. When it's highlighted like this here, that means it's active. So you want to go to here if you're going to create anything else on the clock face, or else you end up creating the items on the alignment vectors. A lot of things to remember, unfortunately, but hey, and it makes it difficult for us old guys where our minds are beginning to flutter a bit. So there you have your clock face and how to create one. Thank you for watching Shark Cut Up CNC.